Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Rays, and if I'm talking a little fast, it's because I have more videos to record tonight. I'm just kind of wanting to get through this pretty quick. So today we're going to be talking about Ruel and I guess it's Silma. Although I kind of like Shilma, to be totally honest. What a weird name, but Silma, I think I've heard it somewhere before, so let's go with that. Alright, we're here to talk about Ruel, the brand new Earth Elemental unit, as well as Silma, the Thunder Elemental unit. So let's get right into it and talk about these units. And I'm going to try and talk mainly just about the main talking points. There's always a lot to talk about these units, but I really just kind of want to get right into it. So let's talk about Ruel. First of all, the friend unit, I used it like 24 hours ago, so I guess I just can't use it again for this video. Kind of sucks a little bit, but I'll just talk about her really quickly. So Silma's stats at a level 120, about 6,000 HP, 1,382 magic. That's with Bahamut and the Ramu vision card maxed out, as well as the new book that gives 182 magic, the new book weapon. She does use a new type of weapon. It does need new strengthening books as well. Other than that, she ended up with about 35 defense, which even with an 18 defense ring, is still just really good stats overall. A pretty nice amount of defense on the unit. That is not a tank, basically. I think that she, if there's one way I can kind of describe Ruel, she's basically kind of a, tanky brawler mage that also just gets rid of units, even if they have a spirit stat. So that's kind of my general thoughts about her. Also, 87 speed, getting back into it, 334 in terms of dexterity, and 292 for luck. Overall, pretty nice stats on a unit, but we kind of expect that from URs at this point. All right. Now, let's get through the boring parts of her kit really quickly. Black Mage, Drain, Stone, Sipple, Bio, Aspel, and Flare, as well as Rune, which decreases soil resistance, which is kind of nice because she is a soil elemental mage. But Flare is also kind of nice to see in her kit, just because it gives her some non-elemental ways of dealing damage. It's one of the things I still like Medina about, is just the fact that she does have a really, really good, she can deal ice damage and does that very well, but non-elemental attacks are just kind of nice in such a elemental dependent game a lot of the time. So I really do like that she does have options for that. Taking a look at her Rune Knight. Yes, it's Rune Knight. That's what we call it here in Japan. Drain Evoke, Stone Sword, Hazard Spell, so a good way of increasing her magic power by sacrificing some of her HP, but she's a tanky unit, so that's okay. Stone Gas, or Stone Ras, no, it's Stone Gas, sorry, sword, and magic conversion, recover your AP with a probability when damaged by a magic attack, which is kind of interesting way of getting back AP. Pretty nice. Now, last but not least, and certainly not least, is her Scholar abilities. Scholar is a brand new class here on the JP side, and it is kind of an improved version of some previous jobs on some units. So, I guess we're just getting power grip now through that. Anyway, taking a look at the abilities, Sturdy Law, which allows you to increase your defense and resistance to weakness for 3 turns. A magic attack that does small damage to a unit. Rockfall Method, which is a diamond AoE that not only deals magic damage medium, but also absorbs part of the damage, which is probably her most interesting ability. I really like this ability. I'll finish up and talk about Ruel, my overall thoughts of Ruel at the end. One of her key abilities is basically a diamond AoE around herself that increases single attack resistance on targets within range, but also their soil attack gets a boost as well. And not only that, but it increases the summon gauge. Pretty cool to finally have a class in the game that encourages summon use. Yuna did that kind of with her weapon already, but it's neat to see a job class. Should be summoner though. Alright, complaints aside. Her last key ability is Healing Method Flash, which is a attack directly in front of her 4 tiles, magic dependent damage large, and healing power down for 3 turns for units within range. It is what it is. I don't think it's incredibly exciting, or really that amazing, but it is a large damage attack that can hit multiple units, and those are always pretty good. So I do like that it does have a little bit of a power down for the enemy team. The sub abilities of this speed reading method, which increase her own CT and shorten activation time of her abilities for 3 turns. Destruction Law, which basically does damage and attack power down. And Counter Logos, the brand new counter for Scholar, which basically probability counterattack when damaged. It's kind of just a magic damage counterattack, has a range of 2. Don't think it's that exciting, but it's not that bad either. Support abilities here: shorten activation time, replace the healing method flash without any casting time. So in other words, her most powerful attack becomes an instant attack, and it also shortens her other activation time. Probably an important ability because you're always going to want to be using her key abilities. Also taking a look at Knowledge of the Scholars, Defense and Accuracy, which is a really cool ability that just makes her essentially tanky and gives her a good amount of defense stat without worrying about equipment. So that's pretty interesting. And taking a look at the EX before we talk about Limit Burst, EX, she gets 2 ability strengthen, and 1 new ability. Her new ability is immediate action. So this is units around her. Recovers AP of allies within range other than yourself. Improves speed of allies in the range centered around yourself for 3 turns. 36 TP, 2 uses. So it's a speed booster, but not only that, but it also gives AP to allies. Nice support ability. Really like it. Definitely worth getting her to 120 if you are interested in. Taking a look at her other 2 abilities, her small magic-based damage attack in the primary part of her kit, it's also AP to target. I assume that it's like an AP reduction to the enemy, but that's the parsing's kind of weird here on Ultima, so it basically, if it's an AP hit, that's kind of interesting. And as for the strengthening of herself, basically removes casting time, which I don't think is super exciting, but Alright, and last but not least, let's take a look at her Limit Burst animation, which is really cool. Books, and paper. Alright, taking a look at what this ability actually is. Gift of Wisdom. Magical damage large target after basically increasing her own mental penetration rate. So, yeah, she's a good unit at getting through mental defenses. Her master ability is basically what a lot of other units are, but also gives herself slash and shooting resistance plus 10. Taking a look at her resistances, basically 10% for slash, negative 10% for fists, 10% for shooting, 5% for piercing, and nothing for magic. Overall, okay. I don't think anything too special here, but pretty nice and solid. Darkness and Don't Act resistance of 50% and confusion of 10%. Trust Mastery, 434 HP, 8 defense, critical avoidance of 10. Wish for Peace is the ability on it, centered around herself, including herself or whatever unit is equipped. Luck Up, status effect of Darkness and Stop are invalidated for 3 turns. Overall, I think Ruel is a pretty strong package. She is definitely a brawler of a mage, and that is pretty interesting because we haven't really seen a unit that's like that. We've seen like physical units be more brawly lately, but it's kind of neat to see a mage that's like that. And other than that, she's a really good support for soil units. She's also a potential interest if you really want to use summons. I think that that ability that increases the summon gauge is pretty cool, and I would like to see more of that. And she has an amazing mental penetration rate. In other words, she can get by units spirit defense. She is potentially a magic tank killer, so she is very good support for magic-based units. And she can get a really good amount of stats. Speed is not super good, but yeah. And as for talking about, like, she is just good against physical units as well, so I think she's just a really good unit. Here are my problems with her. When I have been testing her, one of the biggest problems I keep coming up against is the fact that Ruel as a unit has a really, really, really hard time like getting around her AI. Her AI is basically a support AI, which is kind of weird, seeing how most of her kit is basically offense. One of the things I really like about Kilf, going back to her, because she is an Earth Elemental Mage, is that even though Kilf could like recognize when healing was kind of important, from my experiences back in the day of using her often, was that she was very good at dealing damage too. So I had some really good experiences with that. And Ruel, it feels like I kind of got to turn off every single one of her abilities that is support, or I just can't trust the AI because she's a little bit slower than a lot of my other units. And she did end up, one of the big problems I had with her was just the fact that she ended up not really getting all that many attacks in and just kind of focusing on support. Their AI may be too support orientated, and I do think that is a big problem for this unit. Other than that, one of the things that Altima kind of noted was that her chanting ability was kind of a little bit of a problem. Not a massive problem, I think, because there are options, but they have built this unit to kind of be around that. Her improvements are basically that it removes chanting. And not sure how I feel about that. All right, so let's hop over into taking a look at our other unit, Silma. And here she is, but thankfully I have not used this friend unit in the last 24 hours, so I can still show this. So this is Silma. She is the new red element free Earth or Thunder Mage, basically. Now, her primary job is Red Mage, secondary is Kotodama, and Green Mage is that. Her last one, Kotodama / Messenger, is basically everything that you kind of expect. Good amount of attack abilities, some defensive abilities that make her stronger, and just really, really like Messenger always as a job. And has the magic power up and Blessing of the Water Spirit from that, so she can get a good amount of Red Mage power. All right, taking a look at the rest of her kit, Green Mage has some good support stuff, also some attack abilities as well. Deprotect, Ruin, Bathunda, which increases lightning resistance, and the bigger one, Speed Grant. A lot of her Green Mage is obviously just support and support it does. D-Shell as well, so she can potentially be a debuffer against enemies, and that's kind of interesting to have that too. Looking at her Red Mage, it's basically Red Mage, Cura, Thundara, Fast Cast, Magic Jammer, and Resist Break. All just really, really nice. What I find is more interesting is taking a look at what the Red Mage got for the EX abilities. First of all, one of the things, her support skills got an increased resistance to magic attacks, and quickness actually got improved a bit. Fast Cast got enhanced, basically greatly shortens activation time, but also gives a defense stat to the unit too, so a little bit more support on that. And the brand new ability, Red Resist, increased resistance to slashing and shooting attacks for allies within range centered on herself for 3 turns. Yeah, I mean, like, taking a look at this unit, obviously the Hermes sandals, I know it's definitely a speed boost, but even in taking a look at my unit, who is, getting close to 99, 79 speed is still particularly pretty good, and I actually am liking this unit a fair bit for a free unit, but she dishes out pretty good damage, and if you don't equip her TMR, which is basically just kind of a sword, I think that she, with like something like the Lohengrin, which is the weapon that came with Howlet, she can get a really good magic stat. Like here, even level 120, you can see she ended up with a good magic stat. So I do think that this unit is particularly pretty interesting, and I am enjoying her company so far. Taking a look at anything else, the really big problem with her kit that I've noticed is that she doesn't have she doesn't really have mental penetration, and that's kind of a thing that a lot of DPS units need currently. But, I mean, for a lower tier unit and a lower cost unit. And a free unit, basically. Getting her up to 120 is basically free. I say basically because you still need, you know, the EXP and the gold and everything like that to raise her. But overall, in terms, this is probably one of the best free units we've ever seen, if not just the best free. And I'm not including URs because a lot of their stuff is not free. Like Titus was, first copy of Titus was free, but you still needed all the shards. So don't count it. Taking a look at her resistances, 5% for slashing, 5% for shooting, 10% for magic, negative for piercing and blow. Obviously, not the best there, but okay. Some negative resistance for poison, 50% for confusion and charm, which is actually interesting, and 10% for slow. So pretty solid. Also, her TMR does end up with some slash attack resistance, but I really don't think that's nice, but So yeah, taking a look at Silma overall, I actually really like Silma. If I'm to give a overall final conclusion to what I think about these two units, I'll start with Silma first. First of all, I think that Silma is a pretty nice little unit. Like, I think that she is a pretty good free unit for getting her up to level 120 and having a new EX unit. I think that she is in a category where, you know, thunder elemental ranged attacks, there's a party there that you can potentially make. She's a solid little red mage, and I do think that messenger or green mage give her some good options to how to potentially build her and what to use her in. But yeah, I just give a big thumbs up to this unit. This is the best free unit we've ever seen, and I hope this trend continues into the future. Now, also talking about going back to my overall final conclusions for Ruel, even if I did say them, I'm going to say them again. Ruel is a unit that I think looks really good on paper, and I generally like what they're doing. I just don't like her element, and that's mainly because, like, the two units that I feel most recently keep up with the game's level of power, Christmas Venera and Halloween Raryu, who would both work wonderfully with Ruel, are both limited time units. I don't have them, so I'm kind of saying that, like, specifically with the Earth element right now, I'm not. Oh, and Summer Lilith as well. I think that all of these Earth elemental units would be amazing with Ruel, and I absolutely would love to have that kind of team, but that's just way too many limited units on top of all the other limited time units. So I feel like she's so dependent kind of on just being with the Earth element. And the thing is that with Ruel, she uses books, which basically means that probably, like, Nicole from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is going to be the next Final Fantasy Brave Exvius unit. And that would mean either water or the ice element is going to get a scholar. And both of those elements, I think, are way more interesting. Ice either for with Gilgamesh as well as Agrius, and just what could be there in ice with also Orin too. Water with, you know, Titus and Ildera and everything. I think that there is potentially a better scholar in the near horizon that also works better with my account. I like Scholar a lot, and I do like Ruel a fair bit, but I think that there's, in terms of my account, it really is elemental dependent on this job. If you don't have a good Earth elemental team, or Earth is just like your element, you'll probably absolutely love Ruel. I think there's a lot of good quality there, but given how dependent it feels on the element, pass for me. But no bad things to necessarily. Anyway, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. See you next time.